What's up guys, it's Sam from Gemini, and today we're going to be doing a video based on another poll we did, this time about finding and choosing the right team to go to martial arts competitions. Booyah! Okay guys, as always at the beginning of all of our videos, start on a positive, so hope you're doing well, and Christmas is still creeping towards us. Have you started your crimpo shopping? I thought about it. On to other things. Okay, so this video once again came out of a poll I did. Choices, again, quite small number of people voted, only 3 people, but that's cool, that's fair enough. I'm not going to get upset about that. And we came up with a draw. 3 possible options. I wanted to do about spotting a fake martial arts instructor, red flags to look out for, sociopathy and psychopathy within martial arts, again drawing a lot more on my psychiatric knowledge and experiences. And then the third one actually was finding and choosing the right team for a martial arts competition. And the poll came out, it was all drawn, so I had to basically do like a random roulette of just going blah, 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 and it landed on choosing the team. And I looked at this and thought, you know, that's cool actually, because one, it's quite light-hearted, whereas in before previous in-depth philosophical, psychological videos we've done about martial arts have generally been quite dark. So I thought this will be a nice change. It's something quite upbeat and positive. So I thought, cool, nice. Also, this I can really draw from my own personal experience as well, because when I made Gemini back in, it was not designed to be a typical martial arts school. It wasn't, let's rent out a dojo, let's go to the dojo on set days and focus on training. Gemini was very much a case of, we're going to establish Gemini as a competition outfit. Gemini is going to exist purely to go off to competitions. And during the early 2010s, it was almost like every single month we were going off to a competition of some sort in England, and quite often we went abroad as well. Disneyland Paris, Finland, we've been to Canary Islands, Poland, Tunisia, the list goes on. So I thought part of Gemini was all about finding teams, where I thought this video would be very insightful. It's giving a lot of personal insight, my personal experiences and insight into this video, to hopefully help people who want to go off and do competitions, how to make a team, how to make a good team, and things to look out for. So we'll start, like I said, with my own experiences with Gemini. It's as bad as it sounds. That's another story for another time, Shiva Soviet. Oh, dearie me, those memories. But point being, Shiva Soviet was the archetypical martial arts school. We trained, it started out, we trained on Mondays in a village hall in a place called Ashington. We all came together, we focused on training and competitions. Even though we did competitions with Shiva Soviet, they weren't the be-all end-all of Shiva. It was just kind of a case of, we'll train them, and every so often it'd be like, hey, a competition has come across my table. I think we could do quite well at it. Let's go off and do it.
Doesn't mean that I can write $1 million check. I was not born with a silver spoon, and I don't have a daddy who's a big tycoon. I have to work hard every day if I want the money to go out.
Shiva closed in mid-2009. I was still very much involved in martial arts, and I didn't want to pack it in. So Shiva closed, but I was like, you know what? I still want to compete. However, this is going back to like the big story about Shiva Soviet. I learned a lot from some of it good. Most, let's just say, was a learning curve. Keeping it positive. Somebody once said to me, good times make good memories. Tough times make good lessons. And my God, was Shiva a good lesson. So I came out of Shiva and I was like, right, let's learn from the mistakes of Shiva and let's go forward and hopefully not repeat those same mistakes. When I came to make Gemini, I said to myself, right, let's not have these general dogmas with martial arts. Let's not have a training place. Let's just be this loose outfit with a fluid revolving door of members coming in and out, depending on the circumstances or depending if I think they'll be good for a competition. But let's just keep competitions at the core. Let's have Gemini as a competition group, and our existence as Gemini is to just go off and do competitions. That has always been the focus of Gemini, and more often than not, it has worked. It's worked for me, it's worked for Gemini. And I feel that's what's kept Gemini alive for so long, was because we had this very fluid philosophy and our paradigm was very, very non-structured. It was very person-centered, if you want to put it into therapeutic words. But the challenge with Gemini there became how to find and choose a team for competitions. Now, the first things first, what I found was, what kind of competition are you wanting to go in for? And in martial arts, regular competitors of martial arts will know you get kata, or forms, you get sparring, and then you can subdivide sparring into light contact, point sparring, knockdown sparring, full contact, K1, MMA, or UFC type sparring. What kind of sparring are you going for? And again, that will determine what kind of team you have. Are you going for more of a demonstration type of competition where you may have to demonstrate certain self-defense techniques and strategies and scenarios? Or are you going there with weapons? So that is the first thing I found to look out for. What kind of competition are you going in for? And that will then determine who you want in your team. I'm lucky with Gemini because we've had like over 20 odd members in a...
What's the problem with the rapper who's white? We're all just fighting for equal rights. Just because I'm not.
Most have come from martial arts backgrounds of various different degrees. We've had people from taekwondo, we've had people from karate, we've had people from kickboxing, we've had people from jeet kune do. That's a story in itself. We've had people from Muay Thai. We've had people from various different disciplines. And we've had people who've actually come into Gemini and they've actually introduced new techniques and strategies and methods into Gemini as a team, and what I've learned personally as well. So the trade-off is very two-way. It's not just they learn from me, it's not just I learn from them. We trade, basically. But with that being said, because we've had such a wide array of members from different styles, that's made it quite easy to choose what kind of members we, or what kind of competitions we want to go for, and makes it easier for me as the team leader to choose what kind of team members I want to do those competitions. The next most important thing I'd say about choosing and finding a team would be choose people who actually want to be in the team and want to be at the competition. Over years with Gemini, again, drawing from personal experience, 20 odd members, 20 plus odd members. Some have been absolutely amazing. Some I've looked at and thought, I'm never going to work with these people again. More often than that, I probably won't even talk to them again. There's nothing more painful as a team leader than having a team that doesn't actually want to be there. And if you're at a competition, especially if it's like an overnight competition, you're going to be spending a lot of time with your team members. You're going to be going on long drives with them. You're going to be sharing hotel rooms with them. You're going to be there trying to chivvy them along, motivating them. And if they don't want to be there, it's a tooth-pulling experience. The worst competition experience I've ever done was a competition called the Martial Arts Show Live T2. And it was in Wildcats Arena in Nottingham in February 2011. It was run by somebody called Zara Piffian, but the less we say about her, the better. This competition had 4 members of Gemini, including myself. It took us 11 hours to drive from Brighton to Nottingham. It should have taken us 3. It took us 11 hours because of dynamics within the team, or lack of dynamics. Another member of our team almost got our laptop stolen. The team laptop almost got stolen because she was just very negligent in her behaviour. Also, during the actual competition itself, she actually took the team laptop and went to go and sit in the car park of the Wildcats Arena, and not support myself, not support. And apparently, she was just sitting in the car, just texting her boyfriend back home, saying how boring it was. The other member of the team just moaned about everything, moaned about the weather, moaned about it being cold. And yeah, it was really, really cold up there at the time. It was like winter, middle of winter time. We didn't have that much money as a team, so yeah, there was a lot to moan about, but do it with dignity. And this particular individual didn't. They were just moaning all the time. Every time you spoke to them, it was a complaint, it was a moan. And I remember actually coming away from this, actually waiting for my turn to compete in the hall. And I just looked at these other three team members of mine, and I was like, I've already decided I'm not going to go on a competition outing with you guys again, because you clearly don't want to be here. And if you don't want to be here, quite frankly, I as a leader don't want you to be here. So do us both a favour. It'll probably be much better for you if you just stayed home. It'll probably be better for me if I just got rid of you and got people who want to be here. So let's not beat around the bush. Sometimes you have to be blunt with people. And a quote I saw quite recently, it said, if you're going to put comfort before truth, you failed as an instructor. And that really struck a chord with me, thinking, actually, yeah, that is so true. Sometimes you have to be bluntly honest with these kind of people. Point being, that whole experience, again, I could do another whole story about that. I did do a video about that many years ago. It was so unpleasant. It was just an unpleasant experience, created a lot of friction. And even when I was driving home, I remember we got back to Sussex, like middle of the night, and one of the team members was like, oh, are we not going to go for a pub and have a celebratory drink? And I remember looking and thinking, we've got nothing to celebrate, really. I mean, the whole tournament was a complete fiasco. The dynamic of the team didn't work, and it almost made me quit. It almost made me shut down Gemini, and it almost made me quit competitions full stop. I remember looking at this thinking, like, the next day, it's like, is this a sign that maybe it's time to just hang up the belt and find something else to do? As it turned out, that wasn't the case. I just reevaluated the team once I calmed down and thought, right, let's just focus on the next competition and let's get some new blood in. People who want to be there. That is so, so important. Get people who want to be there. Okay, so you've gone out, you've found your team members, you've found your new teammates. Competition's just around the corner. What are you going to do? One thing I found really, really effective is to do a team building session beforehand. Again, going back to April 2010 with Gemini, we got a new member on board. It was me, it was Firestarter Dude, and we got a new member who'd never been with Gemini before. I'd known this individual for like years in advance beforehand, but I never trained with them. So they came on board, and I thought, what better way to kind of get you in the mold of Gemini by doing a team building session? And we decided to go to the London Dungeons for the day. It was dark, it was tongue-in-cheek, it was gory, but it fit our narrative at the time.
What's the problem with the rapper who's white? We're all just fighting for equal rights.
We were young, we were very much into like a rock and heavy metal music, all three of us, and it just kind of fit this macabre kind of outlook we had at the time. And it was great. Went to London Dungeons, saw all the torture chambers, and getting Firestarter Dude was put up on trial for stealing a sheep or something. We went down like this boat ride, which mimicking Trader's Gate from Tower of London or stuff like that. But we left that day, all of us going, that was a really, really good outing. And that geared us up towards the competition, which was that coming weekend in Boston. Because by the time we got into the car and we were driving to Boston, we all knew each other. We'd all relaxed in each other's company. And even when we got to the hotel room, that was full of frolics itself. Firestarter Dude had a shower, and he had a shower curtain outside the shower, so all the water went all over the floor. And he was complaining about it. And I remember I said to him, did you have the shower curtain inside a shower or outside? And he was like, no, I had it outside. He was like, well, that's why it's flooded. Then he got locked in the bathroom. Then when we came to sleep, I shared a double bed with him, and he started punching his pillow. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? And he was like, oh, it's as hard as nails, I'm tenderizing it. But we all laughed at the time. Looking back now, it's pretty stupid. But at the time, we laughed about it because we built up this camaraderie, because we did social events. We were very much relaxed in each other's company. So if you get opportunities to do social events, I highly recommend them. And usually the more wacky they are, the more team building you'll get. Stuff like paintballing, stuff like adventure sports, something like that. Don't just go off and see a film at the cinema, because most of the time you're just watching a screen. You're not paying attention to each other or getting to actually know each other or gel together. Do something which kind of like encourages you to have a common interest, or encourages you to work towards a common goal or a theme or an end game. They can be really instrumental in what makes or breaks a team. From my experience, team building exercises, winner winner, chicken dinner. A final thing I'll say about choosing and making and maintaining a good team is your attitude and your leadership approach. Now, this is something I cannot teach you. My personal leadership approach is that I love to lead from the front. I love to actually get involved on the front line. I love to know what's going on. I like to actually be with my team and chivvy them from the front. When I've led teams before, I've been both the manager and I've also been a competitor. As a matter of fact, in many occasions, I've been the driver, I've been the treasurer, I've been the administrator, I've been the competitor itself. I've pretty much been judge, jury, and executioner in every single slot I've been with at Gemini. Is that right? Is that wrong? I don't know, but that's just my approach. Gemini has been my baby, and I've always wanted to know what is going on with Gemini. I can pretty much recollect memories from Gemini going right back to the day we started, because I've been there every step of the way and I've been involved every step of the way on the floor. I've never been an absentee landlord. However, that being said, sometimes you need to have managerial skills, in which case you take yourself out. You take yourself off the front line so you can delegate other jobs to other people. And sometimes I tried doing that with Gemini. I remember we did a competition in Disneyland Paris back in 2010, and we had a guy on our team called Paolo who offered to drive. I was willing to drive to Disneyland Paris, even though I've never driven on the continent myself. But Paolo came along, he was like, look, tell you what, you just concentrate on your training. How about I take the responsibility of driving us? And we shared the responsibilities of booking ferries and organising fuel. So that was like a co-job that we both did. But he drove us. I was very, very thankful. I've had people also in Gemini I've delegated or they volunteered to be the photographer and the filmer, and they'll film the whole thing. Other people have organised looking at hotels. A lot of members of Gemini have not actually been martial artists themselves. And when they're not martial artists, I feel more inclined to then delegate administrative roles to them, for the most part. But that all depends on your managerial style. Do you want to get involved and lead from the front? That's good, because it increases morale and it shows that you're emotionally invested. And what I've learned is that if you're emotionally invested, people will follow your example. Lead by example. And if they see you as the leader who's enthusiastic, they will be enthusiastic as well. Downside of that, you're disempowering them. What I learned from Gemini when I was leading from the front and doing everything for everybody else, certain members of a team became over-reliant to the point they became complacent. We had one member who he went for a sparring competition with us in 2012. He didn't bring any sparring gear because he knew I would have sparring gear, and he knew me, being a sucker, would have lent him the sparring gear. As it turned out, I lent him my groin guard because he couldn't be bothered to bring a groin guard himself. He handed that back to me at the end of his sparring bout. It was drenched in sweat. I was not going to wear that. I was not going to risk getting an infection. So I then went on for my sparring sessions not wearing a groin guard. Now, I'm not stupid. I saw the risk I was taking. But I thought, I either wear a groin guard and get an infection, or I don't wear a groin guard and risk getting kicked in the nuts. Guess what happened? I got kicked in the nuts. I was not a happy bunny. Point being, if you are going to go and do everything for your team members, they will become complacent, or they'll see you as the problem solver. It's not teaching them responsibility. If you delegate the roles to them, you're encouraging them to take that responsibility on board, and you're showing that you trust them. Do it in a nice way. Hey, Mr. A, we've got this competition coming up. It's quite a long drive. I'm really swamped by doing administrative work and making sure the team have got all their training up to date. Would it be okay, maybe on this occasion, if you wouldn't mind driving us, and I'll make it up for you a bit later on? I could buy you a drink or something. Something like that. If they're cool, most people won't have an issue with it. But when you start doing things for people all the time, you're de-skilling them, they're not learning responsibility, and they start to look at you as the problem solver and the magician who can solve everybody's problems. Believe me, I'm speaking from experience. Au contraire, if you take more of a managerial role and think, right, I've got a team together, I'm not going to get personally involved myself, but I'm just going to get everybody else to do everything else. You know, focus on the training, go off and do the competition. I'll stand back and just watch. From what I found, a lot of people generally don't like that because they look at you and think, oh, well, why are we doing all this? Why am I having to sort this out? What are you, as the leader, what are you doing? You're just standing back with your arms folded watching us. And that can create friction. To get a good, nice mix, it's a very fine line. You've got to be emotion invested, but at the same time, you've got to know when to stand back and be emotionally disentangled from what's going on. That is something I cannot teach you. That is something you, as a team leader, have to kind of work out yourself. And sometimes you working out this is a journey in itself. You're going to think, okay, I'll try leading from the front. Let's see how it works. Actually, it didn't work at all. I'll go back to a drawing board. What other approach can I take? And that's part of the journey itself. You're finding out about you and you're finding out about your team. Does your team function better if you lead from the front? Does your team function better if you stand back and delegate and watch from a distance? It's all a journey. But like I said, I can't teach you that. That's something you have to do yourself. So guys, that is a video about choosing and finding and maintaining a good team in martial arts. Last thing I'll say, very, very last thing, don't take it seriously. It's meant to be fun. I've had some competitions where I haven't won a single thing. The team's come away completely battered and bruised. But we've had one hell of a time because we've just enjoyed it. We've said we're not going into this to win, provided it's not like a big world championship. But we're just here to have fun. We're going to just come along and see what happens and just put our skills to the test and just enjoy ourselves. And if you go with that mentality, you're generally going to be a lot more relaxed and you're going to have a lot more fond memories, as opposed to if you're trying to cane your team with a stick and saying, we have to win this. Some competitions I've won in the past, I don't even remember them because I've probably not enjoyed them for various different reasons at the time, and they don't actually mean that much to me. Whereas some competitions I've done where I haven't won anything have been some of the best moments of my martial arts career because I've just relaxed and thought, you know, this is fun, this is what it's meant to be about. This is just meant to be about us coming here as a group of friends and just enjoying the experience. Gemini is a group of 3. We went off, we did a competition, and I remember coming away from it and actually saying to the team afterwards, I was like, that was probably one of my favourite competitions because it just felt like a group of friends going on a road trip, listening to heavy metal music, laughing about heavy metal and putting the world to rights, doing this competition where we had fun as well because we were joking around and socialising with other teams that we knew and just not taking it seriously. Just went onto the floor, did our thing, drove back to Sussex, still in a very cheerful mood, and it just felt like a group of mates going on a road trip. And that to me was perfect.
After who's white, we're all just fighting for our equal rights. Just because I'm not from the project doesn't mean that I can write $1 million check. I was not born with a silver spoon, and I don't have a daddy who's a big tycoon.
Have fun. Don't take life too seriously. One of the biggest things about life is that you're not going to get out alive anyway. So just enjoy the ride. Guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Any ideas for future videos, please do let me know and I'll do my best to accommodate. We'll be due to do a live stream sometime soon. I've been looking for an opportunity to do that. So that should be coming very soon. I'll let you guys know. Meantime, stay safe, train hard, keep listening to Kitty because they're the best band around, and I'll see you all in the next video. Booyah!